Hello, in this video we are going to cover implementing the main menu scene, because if we run our awesome tic-tac-toe application, what we have is a splash screen which will load as soon as it loads in the simulator, and from the splash screen after a few seconds it goes to the main menu scene. And as there's nothing there, it just looks blank. And what we want to do is add a background, add buttons to be able to show achievements, to be able to go to the game scene as well, aka a play button. We're going to be implementing all of that in this video. And then in future videos, we'll be covering implementing the actual game logic within the game scene and other classes to be able to play our tic-tac-toe game, because otherwise we don't just want a fancy menu system and a fancy scene system. So let's just let this all load up. And it should be loading any moment now. Okay, we've got our splash scene. And now this is our main menu scene. As you can see, very, very bland. So what we're going to do is go to definition.h. We want to create a few new definitions. So what we want to do is I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to replace this with, instead of splash scene, we're going to put main underscore menu background file path. And for this, it's main menu background. So if we go to res, just confirm it, main menu background.png. So let's just replace this, that, main menu background.png. And now we also need a bunch of definitions for the buttons and the other different objects that are going to be on our main menu. So I'm going to put hash define main underscore menu underscore title underscore file path. So this will essentially be the write-in tic-tac-toe, so we actually know what the game is. A lot of games have on the menu the name of the game. And in here, this is going to be res/game title.png. As you can see, that is right here. We need definitions for the buttons now. So main underscore menu underscore play underscore button. And this is going to be res/play button.png. So this is what you'll be clicking to go to the game scene. I'm going to duplicate this, and we're going to have main menu play button underscore pressed. So in Cocos 2DX, when you press a button, which we'll be coding very soon, you can change the image as well. We're going to keep the same image because we've only got one image. We're not actually changing between them. But the reason we're putting a definition is you won't have to go through the different scenes later on and change the click buttons images. If you want to change it later on, you could just go to this definition file, and that's the beauty of having something like this, whether it's a setting system. So in a more complex application, you probably would have a setting singleton, something along those lines. For this, a definitions file is more than enough, but something to keep track of the different objects, the different sort of images that are being used, so you can easily change them later on. So you don't have to go through, hundreds or thousands of lines of code to figure out where it's used. You just change it here and it gets updated everywhere. So now we're going to put a hash define for the sound underscore on button. So sound on button res/sound on.png. And again, I think you can guess what we're going to do. We're going to have one for sound on underscore pressed. I'm going to duplicate this because there is going to be another state which is sound off. So when you click the sound button, you'll switch between on and off. And we do have different images for this, but again, the pressed state is going to be the same image, so it won't change. We can easily change it at a later date. And we're going to put a hash define for the achievements button. And this is going to be res/achievements .png, which is right there, and we need one for the press state as well. So underscore pressed. We need something else called the hash define main underscore menu underscore play underscore button underscore outer. And what this outer is, so we've got this play button. This is essentially what you'll be clicking, but the way we've designed it is, so you've got the play button, then outside of it you have some more sort of art around it. It just looks nice, but that's not part of the functionality. So that's the reason it's a separate image. You can make it the same image, but obviously then the entirety of it would be the button. So this is just res/play button outer.png, and now we need to define for tag underscore main underscore menu underscore play underscore button, and this is going to be 0. And we also need a tag for the achievement button. The reason we need this is so we know what button is being pressed, and this should be a 1. These can really be anything as long as they're different, because we need to distinguish between a main menu button being clicked, a main menu play button being clicked, and an achievement button being clicked. You might be wondering, why aren't we doing something similar for the sound on and off button? And that's because we're going to be using the Cocos Helper UI functionality, which will allow us to create a sound button the way we have created a background on the splash scene and centered it using just 1 or 2 lines of code, and it'll handle all of the back end for it. Because usually a sound button, it's the same in most games. You click it, sound is on or off, and they have some sort of press state, and that's it. So we're handling all of that for you in our Cocos Helper. So if you do want to check out that, feel free to go in here and just check out the files and see how it works. So now you want to go to the main menu.h, and in here what we need to do is just include the UI system. So first of all, we're going to do using underscore ns underscore cc, which is basically using the Cocos namespace. Do hash include extensions /Cocos -ext.h, and we're going to do hash include UI /Cocos GUI.h. And we need these extra files, even though they're built into Cocos, because the new UI system is an extension. It's not built in by default. So, or it's not included by default, I should say. Now we need to do using underscore ns underscore cc extension. So we're using the extension namespace, and we're going to do using namespace UI. So this will prevent us having to do Cocos 2D every single time. I'll leave it there, that's already been coded up. So what we need to do is within here we need to add some private methods, just the one actually. And this is going to be called void touch event. It's going to have a reference of the sender, and this is essentially which button or what is calling this method, aka which button has been clicked, because that's essentially what's going to call our method. So it could be the achievement button or the play button. Within there we'll be using the tags that we created in the definition file to distinguish between the two buttons. Now we need widget touch event type. So what type of event has occurred? So what we're going to do is go to the main menu.cpp. Now we're going to actually implement this code. So within here, what we need, we can actually remove the simple audio engine. We don't need that at all. We are going to do hash define, hash include definitions.h. We also need And let's have a look. We can actually get rid of this because we have it in the header file. And we have the extension included right here. So yeah, we're all good for all the includes. We can start coding our scene up. We don't want to do anything in the create scene. We're going to leave that as it is. In the init method, this is what we're going to be modifying. So after we have initialized the layer, we're going to do size, screen size equals director : get instance, get visible size. So this is the visible screen size, and we'll be using this for positioning. We're going to do vec2 origin equals director : get instance, and we need to get visible origin. And some devices, like certain Android devices, have an offset due to stuff like a touch bar at the bottom. Stuff like that make that particular device have an offset, and for that reason we need to handle that when we actually do positioning. So that's the reason we're going to get origin. And now what we're going to do is actually create our background, and because that's going to be centered, we're going to use the Cocos Helper UI system for this. So we're going to do Sonar Cocos Helper UI : add centered background, and for the string we simply specify main underscore menu underscore background file path, and for the layer we just put this. And I'm actually going to run this now. It's always good to run it as you go along. Make sure things are working and make sure they're working the way you want them to work. So it seems to be going good. It's just building our application at the moment. Okay, successfully built. It will launch it any moment now. And now, as you can see, we have our yellow background. That is essentially the background for the main menu scene. Once we have the button and the title, it will look a lot better. What I was going to say was, if we go to definitions, instead of having the transition time at 0.2, let's change it to 1.0, because it's a little slow. I mean, it's a little fast otherwise, and we want it a little slower so we can see the transition. So if we just run this, so we got our Sonar Games logo. Probably could make it a little faster than that. Let's do 0.6. I'm pretty sure that's going to be good. So we'll test it when we actually run it again. So now what we're going to do is create the sprite for the title. So sprite title equals sprite : create. And this is going to take a method, this is going to take a parameter, which is going to be the file path of our sprite, or our image I should say, and it's going to be main menu, it's called title file path. Next, we're going to position it, so we're going to do title, set position, and we're going to put vec2. It's going to take two parameters, the x and the y position. We're going to do screen size dot width divide by 2 plus origin dot x, and we can copy and paste this, and we just need to change this to height and this to y. So let's explain what we're doing here. So we're setting the position, and because we want it to be centered, actually my bad, we want it to be centered in the x-axis, so we gain the width of the screen, dividing it by 2, then we need to factor in origin. The way you simply factor in origin is by adding it. So origin.x for the x value, origin.y for the y value. But for this, what we actually want to do is we want it 3/4 of the way up, because by default items are in the bottom left hand corner. So because we want it 3/4 of the way up, to do that you just do times 0.75, so it's above the center. And now we just need to add this to our scene. To do that, you do this, add child, and the node that is required is title. And now if we run this, we'll have our main menu background along with the title. So let's see what we get. There we go. It's already coming along pretty nicely. Just with that addition, it's already looking a lot better. Now we're going to add the play button and the play button outer. To do that, very simple. We're going to add a few extra blank empty lines so we can easily navigate around this IDE. You just put button asterisk play button equals button : create, and this is going to take two images. The first is going to be the main menu play button, then main menu play button pressed. Now we're going to set the position. It's going to be play button set position, and for the position we want it to be centered in the X and the Y axis. We could copy and paste this and do something similar for the Y axis as we've done for the X axis, or you can use the built-in Cocos Helper method, which easily allows you to position stuff by doing sonar Cocos Helper UI : get screen center, and that's it. That's all you have to do to center it now. You don't have to do anything else. We're going to do this, add child, play button. You might be wondering, before I run it, why didn't we just do this the same way we did our centered background? Because you can just center it just using one line of code. The reason is the background you're not interacting with. It's just one image, and that's great for what the Cocos Helper does. But whereas this is two images, a regular state and a press state, and you're going to be interacting with it. It's going to be more code to handle the interaction later on, hence why we couldn't use the built-in add centered background method. So what we're going to do now is run this and show you what we got. Here we go, we got our play button. At the moment, it obviously will not do anything. To actually create some interaction, we need to add a touch event listener. To do that, you just do play button, add touch event listener, and the callback that it takes is going to be cc underscore callback 2, and the number 2 refers to how many parameters that particular method is taking. So first you need to specify which method you want to call. So this is going to be main menu scene : touch event, which we created in our header file. We can get rid of all of this, and after touch event we're going to do comment this. So we're just passing in the scene, in the layer, and we're all good to go now. We can just do play button set tag, and the tag is going to be tag underscore main menu play button. At the moment this still won't do anything because we haven't implemented the touch event method, and we'll be doing that very, very soon. What we're going to do now is create the outer sprite which goes around our play button. So for that, sprite asterisk play button outer equals sprite : create, and in here it should be main menu play button outer. We need to do play button outer set position, and we're going to center this, and this is going to be sonar Cocos Helper UI colon colon get screen center, this add child play button outer, and now we can run it and see what it looks like with the outer sprite. And I'm sure you'll agree it will look a lot. Ooh, it's failed. It's running again. It is failing for some reason. I know it's failing. We go to main menu scene. It's failing because we haven't actually, we're calling this method or we're attaching it, but we haven't actually implemented it yet. So for now, I'm going to comment it out. And if we run this now, it should build successfully and run. And when we actually implement the method very soon, we'll uncomment this line out. So just let this run. There we go. We have a outer part which is just a bunch of lines, and it looks a lot better. So now what we're going to do is add the audio toggle button. To do that, we have built-in methods within the Cocos helper. So you just do sonar Cocos helper colon colon UI. You need to create an instance of the UI, and you do UI dot add audio toggle. So you can either do a music toggle or sound effects toggle, or the audio toggle will handle sound effects and music if you want to just keep it basics. That's what we're going to do. And for the on button, I think you can guess what this is going to be. This is going to be sound underscore on button. This is going to be sound underscore on button pressed. Off button is going to be sound underscore off button. Then sound off button pressed. The layer is this. This is what it's going to be added to. And the position, we can either provide a manual position later on, or what we can do is use the built-in Cocos helper methods for positioning, and that's what we're going to do. Just the sonar Cocos helper UI button position colon colon E. You can do top left, top right, bottom left, or bottom right. I'm going to do bottom right, and this easily allows you to position it in any one of the corners instead of having to sort out all of that stuff yourself, and it's dynamic on different screen sizes. So now what we can do is run it and see the audio button. So now that it has successfully built, Sonar Games, and as you can see we have our audio button, and if I click that, it shows the off audio button and the on audio button. If we had music in here or sound effects, they would be disabled, enabled, disabled, enabled. So very simple stuff. Using just 2 lines of code, we've created a button that can switch between 2 states, easily positioned, and it has the audio toggling functionality, which is fantastic. Now what we're going to do is create an achievements button. So we're going to do button achievements button equals button colon colon create, and this is going to take the regular achievements button and the pressed achievements button. Now we need to set the position, so achievements button set position, and for this what we're going to do is use the sonar Cocos helper method, which is sonar Cocos helper UI colon colon get screen corner. So we want to get a particular screen corner, and for this we just do sonar Cocos helper UI button position colon colon, and we want E bottom left. And for the item that we're positioning, it's going to be achievements button. The reason we need to pass this in, it needs to factor in stuff like size. So what we're going to do now is this add child. It's going to add the achievements button. And the last two things we need to do for the achievements button is assign the touch event listener like so. So instead of play button, it's going to be achievements button. That's fine. And for the tag, it's going to be tag underscore achievement button. And we're ready to run. And after this has successfully run, the initialization method is done, and we can implement the touch event method, which will handle the actual logic behind touching the achievements button and the play button. So we got our splash screen, our main menu, and we have our achievements button right here. At the moment, we don't have any functionality handling this, so we'll be doing that very, very soon. So what we want to do now is void main menu scene touch event, and this is ref asterisk sender. Oh, I don't know where that came from. Not red, ref asterisk sender. This is widget : touch event type. And in here, what we want to do is first do node asterisk node equals node asterisk sender. So what we're doing is casting the sender to a node, and the reason we want to do that is because we want to be able to get certain things like the tag, and this is just a reference to it, whereas this will be an actual node and we'll be able to get the different properties of that node as we need them in here. So we're actually going to switch on type, and there are 4 different cases. So the first case is going to handle widget : touch event type, and : began break. We're not actually going to be using this. We're just going to show you the different cases, and then you can use them accordingly if you need it. So we're going to have one for handling touch moved, touch ended, so when the finger has been lifted, and touch cancelled. Touch cancelled will be something like if some other application took control of your phone, maybe the phone rang, the cancelled event would be called. So you should always have a default break. The only one that we are actually interested in is the ended case. So in here, we're going to do if tag underscore main menu play button equals node get tag. So it's going to get the tag that we assigned in the init method. So in here, we'll handle whenever the play button is pressed. Else if we're going to do tag underscore achievement button equals node get tag, and in here we'll handle the achievement button being pressed. So for this, what we want to do is scene asterisk scene equals game scene : create. Actually, if we go up, we also need to hash include game scene header. And now here we're going to do something very similar to what we did in the splash scene, which will create an instance of our game scene. Then we're going to create a transition. You can use a different one if you want to. I'm just going to use the fade one. Then transition equals transition fade : create. The first parameter we're going to pass in is how long we want the transition to last. So this is going to be scene underscore transition time. That's the beauty of having a definition. We can have all the different scene transitions same amount of time, and if we want to change it, we only have to change it in one place, and then it's changed. And then for the scene, we pass in a scene that we want to replace our current scene with, and you just do director : get instance replace scene, and you specify the scene you want to replace the current main menu scene with, which is our game scene instance. And let's implement the achievement button as well. For this, it'll be Sonar Cocos Helper : game center : show achievements. And if you've implemented the Android side, so Sonar Cocos Helper : Google Play Services, you just do Google Play Services : show achievements. You don't need to handle, if you're on iOS or Android, we do all of that behind the scenes in the Cocos Helper. So if you're on iOS doing Google Play Services, won't do anything. If you're on Android doing Game Center show achievements, won't do anything. So assuming you've got all of this set up, which we provided links to setting up Cocos Helper in your project in the first video, if you've done that, fantastic, and this will just work out of the box. So if we click play, we'll now be able to click our different buttons. So it's just successfully built our project. It's going to run it now in our simulator. Our splash scene will load up, transition to our main menu, and now if I were to click the play button, forgot one thing, we still have these commented out. We can uncomment them now, so we can actually click them and call the touch event listener, which will handle what button is clicked and do the code accordingly. So build is successful, fantastic. We have the splash scene. If I were to click the achievements button, it says Game Center unavailable, play is not signed in. If I was signed in on my device, then that would, well, show me the achievements. Obviously that's always going to be an assumption that the user should be signed in. So if I click the play button, it now takes me to the the game scene. And in the next few videos, we'll be implementing the game scene logic and the game scene overall. If you have any questions, feel free to post them on my education platform, sonarlearning.co.uk. If you want to check out the source code, there'll be a link to GitHub. And as usual, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.